Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower Best of 2017. Now, we just recently as a group did our top 10 games of 2017. But since this year was so amazing, there were so many games that I was able to make a very solid 11 through 20. But there's so many amazing games that I could make a 21 through 30, which I'm doing right here. In fact, I could go even farther than that, but we'll stop here. But really, as I said in my other video, 11 through 20, any of these games, if this had been the only games that came out this year, I would still think, wow, this was a really good year for board games. These are really amazing games. And the fact that they're not my top 10 doesn't mean anything really, because it was just that good of a year. So here we go, starting with number 30. And that is Cursed Court. Cursed Court was a game from Atlas Games, and I haven't been a huge fan of many of Atlas Games, and so when this one came, I was like, oh, it looks interesting. The cover didn't really get me jumping all over it, but after playing it, really liking this game a lot. In this game, it's kind of like a bidding game. You're controlling different areas, betting on whether these areas are going to score points at the end of the game. So it's almost kind of poker in style, or not poker, but maybe I don't know, roulette, where you're trying to say this is going to happen, but you know the information. There's public information everyone knows. There's also hidden information that you know. And so that back and forth with an interesting bidding thing, and it scales interestingly well too. Really a lot of fun. Definitely want to check out Cursed Court. Number 29 is a great game with a unique theme, and that is Spirit Island. Spirit Island, for Greater Than Games, is a game in which back in colonial times here, these people are coming and they're colonizing this island, and you are spirits of that island, helping the natives fight back against these intruders. And you have all kinds. You might be the spirit of water, the spirit of nightmares, and you are using your abilities cooperatively to work together. It's hard because these guys are like rodents. They're coming in and taking over everything, and you are fighting back with special abilities. It's extremely unique. It's extremely differentiated. You know, each game is going to be different from game to game. Your powers are very different, but you're trying to work together. It's difficult, but the theming is strong and fun. Highly recommend it. Spirit Island. Number 28 is Outlive. Outlive is a game set in the post-apocalyptic future, which is not really a theme I like that much, but in this game, you are trying to build a bunker that is better than everyone else's bunker. When the bunker inspection people come through, they'll take you to the really good bunker or something like that. But in this game, you're sending out teams out to scavenge the materials that you need. You're kind of attacking each other a little bit along the way, maybe stealing goods from other people, getting equipment, which is going to help you get better items and bring them back. It's just a really solid game with really great components. I don't even have the upgraded Kickstarter components. I just have the normal one, and I thought that was pretty spectacular. So it's a really great game with a strong theme, Outlive. Number 27 is Muse. Muse is a party game in which players are taking these cards, which look like Dixit cards or, Mysterium cards. But when you're playing these cards, it's team versus team. So you're going to pick a card for the other team, a guesser on the other team or a clue giver on the other team, and then a clue that they have to give. So I might give you a weird card, and then your clue would be you have to hum this card. That's your clue, is humming. And then they will hum their clue. That's mixed up with 5 other cards put out. Their team has to guess. It works really well back and forth. The artwork is gorgeous. The whole thing is fun and interesting and unique. It feels different than Dixit, and in fact, you can even use Dixit cards with it. Highly recommend it. Muse. Number 26 is Clans of Caledonia, or Calendale, sorry. Get this one mixed up. The Clans of Calendale is a heavier Euro game, which I really enjoy. And honestly, doesn't look like that much when you put it on the table. In fact, the box is small. The board game's much bigger than the box. The box is too small. But you have this area out here, this hex area, where you're going to be expanding and building breweries and farms and things like that out there and getting resources. But each player has a very strong asymmetrical power, which is very different than everybody else. And you have to sit there and utilize yours to the best that you can. And there's so many different options on your turn. You have actions all over the place. So many things that you can do on your turn. And you're definitely there's an interaction because when you're placing next to other players, you can get the resources that they have. There's an interesting trading mechanism where the prices are going to go up and down based on what goods you're trading in at any point in time. And scoring points, there's a lot of cool things, and it comes together in an incredibly solid game that, if you had played this game, you'd say, wow, what big name designer made this? And it isn't. It's a newer publisher. and yet it feels like something that's well crafted and put together. For a lot of Eurogamers, this will be in their best of the year. Number 25 is Majesty. I wonder if Majesty might move up for me over time because I keep playing it. Majesty is another one of those games. It's designed by the same guy who did Splendor. It is a fantastic card game in which you have these cards in a line, and you're going to take one of those cards and put it in front of you 12 times. That's it. You have 12 cards. But every time you take a card, you're going to get points. And maybe other players will get points too. And when you take each card, some of them have special abilities. You also, when you take a card, you're supposed to take the first card in the line. But if you don't want to, you can place little meeples to ignore it. But then if you don't have any meeples, you can't do that. If you take a card with meeples on, you get all of them. A lot of cool things come together. It's really simple. It really reminds me of Splendor in that method. And again, this is a game that I'm pretty sure people are going to be playing all over the place over the next few years. Great game, Majesty. Number 24 is Chimera Station. Chimera Station is a game which I thought was really cool because it has worker placement, which you place workers and do things. Now, that's not unique. There's a lot of games that do that. But these workers can be taken apart and pieces added to them so that they get special abilities. And so you can customize your guys to do what you want. Maybe a worker with a brain on it when you go to a spot will give you extra victory points. A worker with plants on feeds itself rather than you having to feed it each turn. A worker with claws on can push someone else's worker off a spot. But you can double up the power, or you can have 2 powers on the same one. There's the custom tiles that the station's going to be built differently each time. There's a lot of really neat things in this one. A very highly recommended game, Chimera Station. Number 24 is Ethnos. Ethnos has the highest ratio of box and game. Does not look nearly as interesting to how good it is. Ethnos from Simon. This game it's a fantasy world with the most generic fantasy races you can think of, but you're going to play with a variation of certain fantasy races each game. You're going to be shuffling these cards, and you're going to be taking these cards into your hand and drafting the cards and drawing the cards and eventually playing a set of cards to let you do some area control. But whenever you play cards, you have to get rid of the rest of the cards in your hand, making them available to other players. Each race also has a very special unique power, which is going to change how each game plays. I like area control games anyway. I like that this game has 2 very distinct strategies you can go to, getting sets of cards or controlling spots on the board. It is a fantastically interesting game. Highly recommend it. Ethnos. Number 22 is Magic Maze. Magic Maze is and again, it kind of boggles my mind that these are in my 21 through 30. That's how good this year was. But Magic Maze, which was nominated for the Spiel des Jahres, is a cooperative real-time game in which you have 4 different people trying to steal from a wall. The barbarian needs his axe. They're all kind of trying to shoplift, but no one controls these characters. Instead, you control a direction of movement. So I might control left, you might control right, and so the game starts, and I will move the barbarian left, waiting for you now, or Bobby to move him up, and then you move him left, and then Susan to move him down, trying to get him to the spot. But we can't say what we need to do. You can put a marker in front of somebody else that basically says it's your turn to do something, but it's really intriguing, and the game scales because there's also special abilities. You know, one person can move up escalators, another person can jump from a teleportation spot to another spot, so you can scale, but it really does work best with 4, but it is just a highly fun and entertaining game, Magic Maze. And then number 21, another tile-laying game. This is Barren Park. Barren Park, from Phil Walker Harding, there's a lot of tile-laying games where you build things into a grid like Tetris to a degree. Uwe Rosenberg has done many of them, but Phil Walker Harding has done a really solid one here that stands out against the rest. You're building a bear park. And in this bear park, you're going to be placing tiles and trying to cover up spaces and fill your park, but get points through various things. Some tiles are going to give you extra points just for building them. There's also mission tiles, which will give you points if you connect different things or have a certain number of things in your park. And when you cover things up with your tiles, that will give you special abilities or allow you to choose the next tiles that you can take that you'll be able to place in your park later. Some really good concepts. This game just has a lot of unique, interesting things, but also plays really easily. I could teach this game probably in 5 minutes. You'll get up and running, but the game offers a lot more strategy, and it looks really cool as you build these little bear parks. Anyway, that's my 21 through 30. 10 amazing, fantastic games. What a fantastic year 2017 was, and there's still more to come. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching the Best of 2017 on the Dice Tower.